My name is Ann Weber, and I'm an artist represented by Wönzimer Gallery, and I'm also the curator of this exhibition. I decided that I wanted to curate a show instead of having my own show because there's a lot of people in the cardboard world whose work I have admired for a long time, including Frank Gehry. My personal connection to him is my whole reason for being. And in fact, when I was out of graduate school a few years, then I was experimenting with a lot of different materials, which my teacher says, you're a beginning artist for the first 10 years out of school. I'd gone to several small studios, garages, basements, and then I had a new studio in East Oakland, and I had a big pile of cardboard boxes on the floor. So I thought, instead of taking them down to the dumpster, I could cut them up into strips and staple them together or weave them together or tape them together. And it would be like building coil pots, and I could build really big things because formerly I was a production potter. Fast forward, 35 years later is a full circle moment for me because there are 3 pieces in the show by the iconic Frank Gehry, who during a certain period of his life created a series of cardboard furniture. And so when I first thought that I could make art out of cardboard, he was my inspiration because I thought, if Frank Gehry can make something out of cardboard, then it really validated what I was doing. I'd like to talk about some of the artists in this show because a lot of us were influenced by Frank Gehry, but a lot of us were influenced by each other. So I had this opportunity to meet some of my heroes, in addition to Frank Gehry. Another one, also happens to be an architect, is Shigeru Ban. And he has been building structures for mostly disaster sites and humanitarian aid, starting from 1995 in Kobe in Japan when they had the huge earthquake. And he figured out a way to rapidly build maybe 10 by 10 foot structures out of cardboard tubes that would be used for people that had lost their homes. And he also has an architecture practice in which he sometimes will incorporate these cardboard tubes. So to me, it was very important to have photographs of his projects in this show. The front piece is by Tim Hawkinson, who I have loved his work for decades and followed him wherever he had a show, whenever I was in the area. And he did a piece for the show that was using cardboard sono tubes, which are the same cardboard tubes that the Japanese architect Shigeru Ban uses. Another person whose work I really admire is Narciso Martinez, coming up from a tiny town in Mexico when he was a teenager. And he was working in the fields with his brothers, learned how to speak English at Hollywood High School. Somebody told him he was a talented artist, and more people encouraged him. He went to community college and then later got a BFA and an MFA from Cal State Long Beach. I've been following his work for a long time, and one of the things that he does is he documents field workers and uses cardboard, vegetable, and fruit boxes. Jody Hayes is from Nashville, and she was recommended to me by Alaya Parhizi, one of the co-founders of the gallery here. I have a friend in Nashville, so I went to visit her and also had a studio visit with Jody Hayes. I'm very happy to have all these different artists that each use cardboard in a very different way. And I want to thank the galleries that have loaned the work, and I particularly want to thank my cousin, Leonie Weber. Our grandfathers were cousins, and she lives in Brooklyn, and she created a very large wall piece on the back wall by coming here and doing the work in my studio. I'm very grateful to have had this opportunity through the Wönzimer Gallery